Jags and the Raiders. You want to start talking about the Raiders? Or you want to talk about the Jags here for this one?
I'll go with the Raiders offense and Geno Smith. I think this game is very, very
Godspeed.
simple. It's true. It's very simple. We only saw 30 plays of them against Kansas City, and we'll see if it's even less than that this week. But no, I think it's very simple. Geno Smith is tied for the league lead with 10 interceptions, and he's been putting the ball in danger a lot. The Jacksonville Jaguars, through their first 5 games, led the league in coverage grade and led the league with 10 interceptions. Their last 2 games, they have not gotten an interception. That was against Seattle and LA, the Rams, and they have the lowest coverage grade in the league, actually a 35.9 in both of those 2 games. So which Jaguars coverage unit do we get? Is it the one that was ball hawking their first 5 games and looked really good? And which Geno Smith do we get? One that can protect the football or one that's just going to keep taking chances downfield and missing throws? If it's the latter and you get the Geno Smith that's throwing picks and the Jags are getting takeaways, this could be a blowout. Geno has to be able to keep them in this game because you know the Jags went into their bye week going, hey, we got to get to the football again. This is what was winning us games earlier on, is getting interceptions, especially defending the middle of the field. I think there's just a heavy part of this game that comes down to turnovers, especially on the Raiders side of it.
Speaking of coverage, that's a good segue into sort of what I think is a point of emphasis for the Jags side of things. Dalton, which coverage scheme do you think a Pete Carroll-led Las Vegas Raiders team runs the most?
Oh, I know it's that old Seattle cover 3, probably more than anybody.
It's cover 3 indeed. They're top 3 in the NFL, despite having a bye week, at cover 3 rate in how many snaps that they have run cover 3 this year. When you look at Trevor Lawrence versus cover 3 specifically, 58.1 passing grade. He's got 3 turnover-worthy plays and 1 big-time throw, although I will say 2 of the turnover-worthy plays were sort of like, those are, yes, they were bad decisions, and I think that they were categorized as turnover-worthy plays, but there was really only the one where I go, all right, you really threw it into an area of cover 3 that you should not have on this play. So he's been okay versus cover 3, but specifically, this is what I wanted to point out with Trevor Lawrence. 7 sacks when he's looking at a cover 3 shell, and that was tied for the most of any other coverage scheme that he is looking at. Specifically with the Rams, that's the team that also runs cover 3 at a very high level, very similar to that of the Raiders. When they played the Rams, he saw a ton of cover 3. That's where those sacks came, those 7 sacks came, and he had a much higher time to throw. So when he was seeing cover 3 against the Rams, who run it at a similar rate to what he will see against the Raiders, it was where he had the most hesitancy, he took the most sacks, and he had a higher time to throw. So does that continue this game? Is the Rams defense just a lot more formidable than the Raiders? Or is this a coverage that he really just struggles to diagnose and process at a faster level? That's what I'm really looking at in this game. And I think this will be a little bit more of a, okay, this is a tangible thing we could take away from Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, maybe more so than just like the game overall. But it's hard for me to have a lot of faith in the Raiders right now. I think this game will be decently close. I'm going to go Jags 23, Raiders 17 is the final score that I'm going with here.
I've got it even closer. Jaguars 20-17. And I think to your point about Trevor Lawrence against, say, cover 3, right? And one thing that gets talked about all the time with these zone coverages are how many guys are back deep. Well, remember that it's also 4 guys that are playing underneath as well. And this Jaguars passing game has been really conservative. I think the word hesitant you used for Lawrence is big time there, because Trevor Lawrence, to me, has struggled with just driving the football downfield with conviction. And so often against a coverage like that, you have to drive it down the seams, right? Or sometimes you end up with a one-on-one on the outside that you just have to take that chance on. I think the vertical passing for Trevor Lawrence has been a struggle, and I think there's times he's been indecisive with it. You have to be willing to layer footballs over the second level of that defense in order to make that happen. So I think he knows, honestly, I think he knows what the coverages are, but it just feels like he's not throwing the ball past that 12 to 15 yard mark with any sort of conviction. You have to attack a defense like this, and especially with the Raiders' lack of talent in the secondary, he should be able to do that with Brian Thomas. I think Liam Cohen needs to use Travis Hunter downfield more often. He's a downfield threat with the ball skills who can go up and get it. We saw it in the Kansas City game. We saw it in the fourth quarter against the Rams when the game was over. Let's see it more often earlier in these games. Let's get Travis Hunter working downfield. Let's get Brian Thomas Jr. some confident throws going downfield, right? I think that's the element that's missing. The Jags have been efficient underneath. The run game has mostly been pretty good. They need to attack over the top to make the defenses respect everything that's going on underneath.
I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. Drake said something in the chat. Drake was saying, so you're saying that it's a big Max Crosby game, Trevor? Could very well be, right? I mean, like you said, if Lawrence doesn't have that confidence and conviction to get rid of the ball decently quickly when he is looking downfield against cover 3, you hold on to that ball a little bit too long and Max Crosby will make you pay. So it could be a big Max Crosby day. We will see.